Well, 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 look who's back. Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? Oh my god, that was loud. I hope I didn't just blow out my microphone, Jesus. Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. Hi. So today's video is one that I am really excited about. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, which is influencer marketing. I find influencer marketing to be so I can't swear in the first 90 seconds. I find influencer marketing to be so freaking fascinating. I think it's just so interesting. It's been something that's been a really hot button issue since like 2014, 2015, when influencers really started popping off and brands started realizing the monetary value. Also, I'm a little sick. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. In my throat and voice, I sound sick. Influencer marketing really popped off in 2014 and 2015 when brands started realizing the potential of influencers and how much money they could make them. But honestly, the sort of core principle of influencer marketing, which is using a person that everybody knows and likes to market a product, it kind of goes back to like forever ago. Basically, as soon as marketing was invented, we've been using celebrities for this kind of stuff forever. But now we've switched over to using influencers. I always think it's really interesting too what brands think people want to see and what actually ends up being what people want to see. I feel like it's very rare that a brand is able to successfully have an influencer campaign where people are like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. This is what I wanted to see. And that's why today I kind of want to talk about why I think that influencer marketing sort of contributed to the popping of the beauty community bubble. The makeup industry is obviously a very profitable, booming industry. It's not one that I think is ever going to completely die down, especially when we live in a very vain sort of society where makeup is definitely a huge part of it. However, I do think it's noticeable the way that the makeup industry back in like 2017 is very different than the makeup industry that we see today. I do think that makeup used to be a lot more popular, and I think now that hype has sort of died down a little bit. I want to talk about why I think that hype has died down a little bit and why I think influencer marketing was a contributing factor to that. I also kind of want to dive into brands that were solely influencer marketed brands that have now either filed for bankruptcy or completely closed down, because I think that's really fascinating. Why the longevity of a brand may be cut short if their sole sort of marketing is only influencer based. So if you're following along with what I'm saying, I feel like I'm not making any sense right now. If that makes any sense to you. I don't know if it made sense to me, but if it made sense to you, basically I think influencers tanked the beauty industry for certain brands. I think that influencer marketing tanked it, and I want to talk about why. So first I just want to talk about what exactly is influencer marketing. This might be repetitive for some people, but I think it's important to always explain like exactly what that even fucking means, because it's kind of difficult to explain. Influencers do exactly what their name claims. They influence people to buy things. And when brands saw the incredible marketability of these influencers, they jumped on the train and started paying them exorbitant amounts of money to promote products. Some of them paid influencers directly to talk about products. Some of them did it via discount codes. So like Morphe codes were a huge thing where like if a person had a Morphe code, they would get 10% of the sale of whatever products they had people buy, which is a pretty large percentage. So they'd be making a ton of money off of these Morphe codes. When the internet and internet personalities started getting bigger, we started to see more and more brands take this influence that everyday people on the internet had more seriously. And slowly but surely, brands started realizing how marketable influencers were, but not only that, they started realizing how affordable influencers were. A celebrity endorsement from a big star like Kendall Jenner, it would probably cost a brand like upwards of $200,000 to $300,000. I remember watching the Fyre Fest documentary, and they said in order to get her to post about Fyre Fest, it costs about $250,000. So that is a pretty hefty price tag to pay for a celebrity endorsement. But brands realized that working with influencers, they could essentially just pay them in vacations and free shit, and they would promote their brands and promote their products. It was significantly more cost effective to send free products to 100 influencers than pay $100,000 for one celebrity to endorse your product. And they were getting the same return on investment. Now, once this was discovered, brands started working with influencers, and low-key, there is something to be said about the exploitation of influencers. Like, I think that could be a whole separate topic, but there is something to be said about the fact that brands sort of took these everyday people that just happened to get famous from their homes and really like kind of manipulated them into promoting products for way less than what they should have been promoting them for. So there is this whole other side of this where influencers are not completely at fault, brands are also at fault because they definitely took advantage of people. Once this was discovered, brands started using influencers in droves. In the 2010s, it was really common for influencers to do these massive PR unboxings where there'd be hundreds of PR. We all remember this time. And eventually, as a result of all of this influencer marketing happening, we also ended up seeing a ton of influencers start their own makeup brands and sort of cut out the middleman of working with other brands and using their platform to promote their own product. I feel like if you were around, you remember that brands like Morphe and ColourPop and Gerard Cosmetics and Makeup Geek, all of these brands that were really heavily influencer driven and influencer endorsed. It seemed like this industry of influencer makeup brands just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the bubble sort of popped one day. Despite the beauty industry being this billion-dollar industry, you see beauty brands closing or filing for bankruptcy left and right. Beauty brands that 5 years ago were at the top of their game, were making so much money. You kind of have to wonder why that is. And my theory as to why that is that the influencer marketing actually ended up hurting these brands more than helping them. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I think there's a number of reasons why this happened. I want to preface this video by saying I don't think influencer marketing was the only contributing factor to why this happened. Sorry, I'm cold. The pandemic happened, which hit a lot of major industries. Inflation has been crazy, so people have different priorities than buying makeup. They'd rather buy, I don't know, groceries. So it's like there's a lot of different reasons. But something that I did definitely pick up on is that you see the brands that were heavily involved in influencer marketing back in the day, those are the brands that are struggling today. The ones that were at the top of their game back then are the ones that no longer are making as much of a profit, and some of them are even closing down. Obviously, in the short term, influencers working with brands was an incredibly lucrative thing. Morphe, for example, I think is like the prime example of a brand that only used influencer marketing. It was literally built and made by influencers, and now it just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in 2023. My theory on why this happened, but I'd also love to hear yours down below. When makeup brands first started using influencers so heavily in marketing, it worked so well, mostly because of parasocial relationships. People felt like they knew influencers and were a part of their lives, and in a lot of cases wanted to emulate or be them. So if an influencer was saying, this is the product that makes me look like this is the product that makes me feel like this, people were more inclined to go get it because they had these parasocial relationships where they wanted to be like their favorite person. The PR or ad dollars that brands would spend on influencers came back tenfold because so many people loved and respected the person that they were working with. However, I think in recent years, there's been this sort of switch in all of that where people, I don't want to say people hate influencers, because that sounds mean, but I think people don't really love influencers anymore. I think people are kind of sick of being fucking influenced. You know, I'm a little sick of being influenced. There's a lot of people that I used to watch that I don't watch anymore because I have no interest in being just sold products, and that's all the content is. I think people picked up on that really every single video was just turning into an advertisement to make that person money. And while there's nothing wrong with influencers being paid for their work, like I fully think that the Morphe thing, it's a good thing those people were getting paid because they were promoting the shit out of that brand. Like they should have been getting paid. And I think there's a few reasons why the whole influencer thing started failing. And I think the biggest reason, especially when it comes to beauty products and makeup products, is that influencers fucking lie. They lie. Sorry, like lots of influencers lie. Lots of people lie about products literally just to make money. Like people lie. And this is just like my true thoughts on this. I don't think it's a good thing to do that. I think you're hurting your own personal brand when you lie, like not looking towards the long term when you lie about things like that. Like if you say a mascara is amazing, everyone buys it and it's super clumpy and a terrible formula, but you just said it was amazing because you got paid to do it, nobody's gonna trust your reviews going forward because they feel jaded and duped. And the thing is, I don't necessarily blame influencers for taking the money and kind of selling out. I think a lot of people give them shit about it, and I certainly give them shit about it because I think it's stupid to do. But I also kind of get it. Like if you're being offered $10,000 to say a mascara is good, there's a lot of people that would take the $10,000 to say a mascara is good. Like, there's a lot of people that would take that money. Influencers losing their credibility was the biggest hit that makeup brands took, because suddenly everyone went from wanting to buy every product that an influencer recommended to buying absolutely nothing and actively hating products that influencers recommended. And a lot of those were these brands like Morphe, Makeup Geek, ColourPop, all of these different brands, Tarte, like Too Faced, all of these different brands. People started not trusting the influencer, and in turn that made them not trust the brand. The second reason I think that this sort of happened, the way that influencer marketing failed in terms of makeup brands, is that brands started giving influencers this sort of unattainable lifestyle that no longer made the influencer relatable. And I talk about relatability a ton on my channel because I think it's a really interesting thing, especially in the influencer space. Like, you have this person who's just a random, everyday, regular person who happens to make it big on the internet, and then their life completely changes and they're buying a mansion in LA and like everything changes for them, and then they become unrelatable, and then the very reason that they became famous goes away and people don't like them anymore because now they can't relate to them. So it's like we build people up to then just like not want them to change at all and tear them down. It's a fascinating concept on the internet, but I think that brands really didn't help this because they would send influencers tons of PR packages. I mean, who remembers the like 2015 videos with all the packages in the background, and it would be like a 2-hour long unboxing video of just influencers opening stuff like it was Christmas morning every day. They would take them on these trips that nobody could fucking afford. Like, not an average person could go to a tiki hut in Bora Bora. That's not a thing that I could do. So it gave them these sort of they sent them PR packages of freaking chocolates and like Prada bags. Like, they sent them all this stuff, and it made the influencer, it made the everyday influencer a lot more unattainable and a lot less relatable. I think that sort of broke the parasocial bond, which is really what the industry relied on for people to buy products. I also think that brands had a huge part in this too. I don't think it was just the influencer, but I think if you look at influencer-focused brands, what were they doing in 2017, 2018, 2019? They were putting out product after product after product after product every day. It was a new release every week. It was a new ColourPop collection with all of these different things. And with this overconsumption of products, they not only started cheapening sort of the excitement of a new makeup release, so people weren't even anticipating or excited about anything anymore. They started cheapening that experience, but also the quality of the products started getting really bad. Remember, I used to love ColourPop stuff, but over time it felt like their quality was cheapening just so they could put out more and more and more collections, and it led to this sort of burnout and shopping fatigue, I think. It got to a point where even influencers whose job it was to review makeup could not keep up with this mass production of products. I also think too, just in general, if we're talking about sort of a macro level reason, I think overconsumption just became uncool. I don't know how else to put that. I think people just having these massive makeup collections and these huge rooms dedicated to just makeup or clothing or purses or whatever, it just became sort of not desirable for the everyday person anymore. I think overconsumption used to be like the dream. It used to be the dream to have your own makeup room or your own vanity. I remember I used to dream about having my own makeup room. I would literally like, oh my God, when I got my IKEA Alex desk drawers so I could make my own little vanity, I'd never been more excited in my life. I felt like an influencer. I felt so excited to have that like desk to put my makeup in and organize everything. And now I'm purging everything I own because I just feel overwhelmed by having too many things. I use the same products virtually every day. It's very rare that I stray from the makeup that I like. It's very rare that I buy new makeup. It's not common. And if I do, it's not an eyeshadow palette or something fun. It's like a pressed powder that I think will make my skin look better. Like, priorities when it comes to makeup have drastically changed, and also the way that we consume in general has drastically changed. If you look at brands that are still thriving and doing well, it's either one of two things. It's a brand that has been around forever. Already had a built-in consumer base way before the internet was even popping off. Like, you have brands like Lancome, Pat McGrath, like you have these brands that have been around for a long time that didn't really need influencers in the first place because they are very well established, and those brands are still doing pretty well. But as far as newer brands, I would make the argument that celebrity makeup brands are doing significantly better than most influencer brands, than most brands that focus so heavily on influencer marketing. Rare Beauty, Fenty Beauty, and Ariana Grande's Rem Beauty, all of those do amazingly well. Selena Gomez just became a billionaire because of Rare Beauty. I think that also kind of begs the question of, why does celebrity endorsement sort of outweigh the influencer endorsement? Why did that seem to work while influencer endorsement seemed to hurt a brand out in the long term? I think that's because, number one, celebrities were always unrelatable and unattainable. That was never a problem. Like, you didn't have to make a celebrity more relatable to get people to like them. They liked them because of their talent, not because of who they are as a person. That is the quintessential difference between a celebrity and an influencer. I also think that celebrity endorsements don't hurt brands, because even when shit goes down or shit hits the fan with something, the celebrity always gets blamed. The brand really doesn't. Like the Kendall Jenner Pepsi situation, it's like the perfect example. Kendall Jenner got roasted, for as she should. That commercial was obviously ridiculous, but like, she got roasted for all of that, and Pepsi really faced no backlash. Like, Kendall Jenner got the brunt of it. Brands don't really have that risk that they might have with influencers, where it blows back on them as well. And also, I think the biggest thing is, we know when a celebrity ad is happening, we know it's a fucking ad. It's not the celebrity. We know that Eva Longoria Parker does not wear CoverGirl every single day. Like, we know that, but it's still her promoting a brand. She looks gorgeous in the foundation, so it works. The lines are much more clear and less blurred when you know for a fact that somebody was paid a ton of money for this, and that's why they're talking positively about it, versus an influencer just throwing into an overall video a sponsored eyeshadow palette. It's also more rare to see celebrities endorse things, and you don't see the same celebrity in every single commercial, with the exception of like athletes. I find athletes, especially the Kelsey brothers, they're in every fucking commercial I see. But for the most part, celebrities are not in every single commercial, whereas influencers are constantly shilling you products, and that's very much the difference as well. I also think too, and influencers don't like this, but it's true, I think celebrities are taken more seriously. Like, they're just they're just trusted more, they're taken more seriously. I think influencers are not. I kind of get, because it's basically glorified reality TV stars, except you're like a self-made reality TV star. Like, that's what being an influencer is. Also, and I'm gonna just hammer this point home again, influencers fucking lie. They lie so much, and that really hurts the brand. This is what I've said a billion times, but I'll continue to say it because I think it really hits home for the point of this video. In the short term, a lot of times, I think that brands think it's important to make the sale right away and get the money right away. And you make all this money from influencers promoting you. You make all this money from influencers lying for you. But in the long term, that's not sustainable. And we're seeing that with these brands. They're having huge either fall-offs in sales, or they're filing for bankruptcy and closing. I don't think that influencer marketing helped the beauty community in the way that brands thought it would. And I don't think the longevity of influencer marketing worked the way that they were doing it. I think there are ways to do influencer marketing in a successful way. I don't think that's what was happening in the beauty industry in 2017. I hope this video made sense. I'm a little out of it today, so I really hope that was all concise enough and made a lot of sense. I'm really curious to know your thoughts. Do you think there's other reasons why these really influencer-powered brands are having these fall-offs? Like, is it the influencers, not fault, but you know what I mean? Is it influencer marketing's fault, or do you think there's other reasons this is happening? This is just my hypothesis. Really curious to know your guys' thoughts down below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My social media and my social justice spotlight will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!